Hello, this is Gary Thornan with Watt, and we're here at the Chicken Marketing Seminar with Steve Lutz of the Perishables Group. Steve just gave a presentation on chicken marketing opportunities out there in the market today. Steve, you mentioned that 2011 isn't looking like 2010. Could you tell us a little bit about what you meant by that?
Well, what we meant is that we've come through the recession, late 2008, 2009, and we saw a period of very flat retail pricing because of the recession, because of consumers changing buying habits. It really focused consumers on what their weekly spend was, and that in turn, retailers competing for business flattened pricing. We came through a period where consumers were trading down, they were doing a lot of substitution, they were very cost conscious, and so throughout the recession we saw pretty much flat pricing. As we've moved into 2011, we've really seen a significant change where all of a sudden, for the first time in about 2 years, we're seeing aggressive price increases in terms of average retail price, not just in chicken, not just in meat, but across all fresh departments. Large rises in average retail prices in the promoted prices, so the prices that retailers promote have gone up. They aren't passing the same level of savings on to consumers, and the non-promoted prices have gone up. That's new in 2011. We didn't see it all really in 2010. So it does suggest that there's a level of price inflation and that will be in the marketplace in 2011 that consumers didn't have to deal with in 2010 and certainly in 2009, which I guess the concern is that begins to introduce that level of substitution and shopping behavior among consumers that we were seeing in 2008.
Well, you mentioned that consumers have learned price sensitivity. Exactly what does that imply or mean for chicken marketers?
Well, I think what they've seen is that the aggressive discounting by retailers. Retailers over time were very, very aggressive in the sale of the week, and I think in some ways there's been some level of becoming desensitized to offers, and that in turn is, I think in part, along with some price increases, what we're seeing is lower lift. So when products like chicken go on ad, retailers aren't seeing the same level of price gain in terms of dollars and volume that they were seeing previously, and it indicates that there's some level of desensitizing, a lack of response of consumers to going out and saying, because it's on ad, I'm going to buy it in the way that they have in the past. Now that said, one of the bright spots about chicken when we look at loyalty card data is that we're seeing is that chicken does exhibit still one of the few categories in meat that truly has stock up behavior, more so even than beef, where when chicken is discounted, consumers do have a tendency to increase the volume purchase even though their overall trip frequency is down.
Well, you talked a little bit about growth in value-added items. How does that work out for poultry segment?
Well, it's really driven by the availability of products that are out there. Value-add has continued to grow. Obviously, value-add products tend to have a higher price point. So during the recession, there was, I think, a need by retailers or response by retailers to want to pull back on those items. But the fact is that there's still a broad swath of consumers that are looking for ways to save time and not necessarily save money. And if you're talking about marinated items, you're talking about pre-cooked items, you're talking about whole chickens. All those different items, in a sense, save consumers time, have shown pretty good growth over the last year, and in fact, even among those value-add items, we're seeing fairly significant growth in the number of items that are available. So they're growing in sales, and they're also growing in terms of product distribution. New items showing up at the retail level.
Well, you mentioned that ground product is an opportunity. Tell us about that.
Well, ground is always, ground products, ground meat in general, ground beef, ground pork, ground turkey, ground chicken, have always been a favorite of consumers that are seeking value and seeking versatility. Certainly ground beef is the biggest segment of the beef industry. It's one of the smallest segments of the chicken industry. I think it's around 1 to 2% of total chicken is ground. ground. So it's a very small part of ground chicken, but it's also one of the areas that's fastest growing. And across the ground pork, ground turkey, ground chicken, those are some of the fastest growing segments of chicken. And chicken has had very strong growth in terms of those ground options. So it does indicate that there's a consumer out there that's willing to buy ground chicken because they like the versatility. They like the ability to make some items that require a grind that maybe they can swap out of a product like beef that they perceive as being less healthy and move to chicken being more healthy. So there are opportunities for growth, and we saw strong increases in ground chicken over the past 52 weeks.
Well, you mentioned there's some changing promotion strategies going on. Tell us about that, please.
The promotion strategies, we've seen retailers pulling away from deep discount promotions, shifting to more of an EDLP, everyday low price strategy. Retailers trying to compete day to day on price as opposed to draw customers in with high-low. There's certainly some markets that remain very high-low focused, but in general, retailers are more focused on an everyday price strategy, it seems. The way that gets reflected out is in terms of the promoted and non-promoted prices. And if we look at the last 13 weeks, the last 52 weeks, what we're seeing is that the promotion discounts are not as deep. So when they put chicken on ad, they don't have the same level of price discount, and then the average retail prices are higher as well. So higher prices across the board, but retailers trying to find more of a middle range that they can attract consumers on a daily basis, and that matches up well for conventional retailers in their ability to compete with the alternative formats like Walmart.
Thank you very much, Steve.